Hello, my name is Enoch, and this is my game, No Escape. For some context, this was a school project. Me and a team are working on this once a week for about 2 hours. In this project, I worked as a sort of game director sort of thing. My role was officially that of a game artist, but I did things like level design, narrative design, gameplay design, and animation art, also animations. Yeah, I was also sort of the lead that was keeping the vision that we had for the game and making sure that everything worked into that vision. I'm really happy with how this game came out, so I want to show it off. So, quickly, controls. W, A, S, and D to move. It's a 2D puzzle platformer. You use shift to run, control to crouch, spacebar to jump. When you run and jump further. When you walk and jump, you jump higher. That's going to be important very soon. So, this is the first level. This was designed by me. Right here, we have a little bit of a design choice that I made. This is a bit of a tutorial sequence-ish. The basic concept is that if the player the player has to jump to get further into the game. The idea is just to make sure that the player knows how to jump. This is a form of silent tutorial, which is used in Super Mario, for an example, with the Goomba that walks towards you. This is a little bit of the same, but this one here is supposed to test if you know how to run jump. Because if you walk jump, you can't make the jump. So you have to learn if you can run jump. Whoops. There we go. So it's just a simple test to make sure that the player knows all the mechanics. Here we have this similar thing. You can't run jump over this. So you have to walk jump over it. Then we start testing the player. Here's a walk jump. Oops. Simple walk jump. Then we have another little mechanic we have here. You see that rock with a little blood, with a bit of blood on it. This one here. Oh, that's not showing up on the game. What this rock does is you can hang off it. You can jump to the side, drop down, just jump off it when you get to it. So from here, it's a test, normal jump, then a running jump to get to that. So yeah, the basic idea of this game, it's a 2D platformer where you have to choose which sort of jump you use. You use running jumps, like this, here, or do you get into this scenario and have to use a walking jump? Now this is a ladder, you just hold W to move up it. Another thing we did, which I personally really liked, is that we use the camera to pull out in certain scenarios. So for example here, we pull out the camera to give the player a bigger vision of the entire map, which does a few things. Number one, it lets the player see everything they're going to be doing before they start. And more from a narrative perspective, it also creates a feeling of emptiness. The basic idea is that this area is so massive and you're so small that you can't really do much. Like, it's supposed to be a little bit like overwhelming is the idea. Oops. So yeah, that's the reason for this specific camera choice. Use normal jumps, running jump, a normal jump. So that sequence there is supposed to be there we go. Is supposed to be a bit of a test of what the player has learned so far. To use the right sort of jumps in the right scenarios. And from here, from forward from this point, I didn't design the levels. I had a bunch of other things to do, so. But this was made by one of our fantastic programmers. He did a fantastic job on the programming stuff, and yeah, that's a decent jump there, and here. And here we have actually one of the more inspired jumps in this game. The basic idea is you see the ladder, and by holding W you can climb it. So you do a run, jump into W to get off it, to hang. So you jump and start climbing in midair, which I thought was pretty cool. Then we have some crouching. Yeah, that animation isn't the best. Turns out it was kind of hard to figure out how a character would dress like that. Then we have this segment. This area is a leftover of some ideas we had. We were planning to make the game a lot bigger, with like an entire basement system that we were going to be in. But we ran out of time, so we didn't want to waste the art that the artist had done. So we did make this area and this one, just to show off some art we did. And here we come down to the ending of the game. So the concept here is you're basically stuck. There is nowhere you can go. Like this, going here does nothing. Running over here does also nothing. So you only really have one thing to interact with, and that is the Iron Maiden. This is kind of where the namesake of the game comes from. So the original idea of the game was a 2D platformer where you did a bunch of platforming and trying to escape this dungeon, but then you would get to some sort of dead end. You wouldn't be able to find a way to escape, and you'll just have to take the only form of escape that exists. That was the overall concept of the game. It's supposed to be a sort of dark, nihilistic story. But yeah, that's the overall concept. Yeah, that's the entire game. It's not perfect. I can absolutely agree with that. It shows that it was made by people that were kind of new to making video games, and that's completely fine. It was our first year, so I'm not sad about that. What I am really happy about this game is that it's very much like I wanted it to be. Everything in the game works towards telling the narrative of being a tiny, insignificant thing in this world. Like, your platforming skills are very limited, and they're only ways to work around the environment. Nothing you can do gives you any form of real sense of freedom. Nothing you do gives you a real sense of that you are the master of this world. It's just you have to deal with the world, what the world gives you, and play around that. And your tools that you have are barely enough to get past. That's the general concept of the gameplay, which I think the game catches pretty well. But yeah, that's it for this game. I hope you liked this little playthrough and commentary, and I hope I get a response from you. If you have any more questions, then just send them. Alright, bye.